Sitrep, PUBG update 29.1 is out now for PC, and it'll be out tomorrow or the next day for console. So by the time you watch this video on YouTube, if you're not here live on Twitch, everything should be live, new, and there for you to explore. I've got a couple of videos going over patch notes, all the new skins, and the brand new Rondo destructible terrain feature. So make sure to go check all that out in the links down below. What we're going to cover today is PUBG just released a dev letter talking about matchmaking MMR. So we're going to go over PUBG's MMR update. That's their matchmaking ranking system. And I know that term can be pretty scary for a lot of people if you know what MMR is, but we'll break it all down, what PUBG's planning on doing and how it's actually going to affect everybody who plays PUBG. So let's take a look. Matchmaking MMR, like I said, is basically your skill-based matchmaking. It's always been in the game. PUBG's always had some level of MMR. However, they used to prioritize to make sure lobbies had the right number of players. Now it seems like there's a shift in making sure the lobby has the right balance of players. That's kind of like what the shift mindset is, from what I gather by reading this. And so what MMR is supposed to do is gauge you as a player based on a number of stats, like your kill rate, your win rate, your average damage per game, your average damage taken per game, like all kinds of stats gives you this magical MMR number. And that MMR number ranks you, amongst your peers. And so when the servers are looking for 100 players, they're trying to gather 100 players of similar skill and put you in the same lobby together. I have my own thoughts on that, which I'll give you towards the end of this video, and I'm sure you have your own thoughts as well. So let me know in the comments here. If you're live on Twitch, drop it in chat, or in the comments on YouTube. So last month they did 2024 roadmap. If you didn't watch my video recapping the entire roadmap game plan, go check that out. They'll have timestamps all on the bottom of that video. You can skip and jump around to whatever you want to see. Now what they're going to be talking about is their upcoming matchmaking updates. So they have normal matchmaking. Matchmaking for normal matches works by intimately connecting the following elements. The number of different things they look at. What platform you playing on? Are you PC? Are you Steam? Are you Epic's login? Are you console? PlayStation, Xbox, whatever. What map service you're looking for? Are you looking for solos, duos, squads? Which map are you picking? Are you on a random map? Player count, time to match, what ping, what kind of skill you have, party type and perspective. All this stuff is what the system is looking for when you click go, and it's trying to gather all that information and pull together the right amount of players from the various regions. For player count, with matches accommodating up to 100 players, the player count is a crucial factor to ensure that there's an adequate number of players that are secured and linked in every match. I actually am starting to think that having 100 players is less of an important feature, but I guess we can talk about that later. The time to match, that refers to the time between clicking the play button and entering a match. So when you hit play in the main UI lobby and it says, estimated match time, whatever, until you actually start the match. That's what they mean by time to match. Maximizing player recruitment for each match might result in a longer waiting period, and they strive to establish optimal wait times to avoid excessive delays. However, under certain circumstances, such as during off-peak hours, bots may substitute players if insufficient players are available. Prime example here in North America, if you try to queue up a solo FPP lobby in off-peak hours, hell, even sometimes in peak hours, your wait time is extended. You could be waiting 2 minutes for a match, then you wait another 2.5 or 3 minutes for the lobby countdown to start, and you still might have like 20 or 30 bots in that lobby. So that happens in the smaller regions. It's not an issue in the bigger regions like in Asia. The ping indicates the delay between the server and the client. It's a critical aspect in ensuring a seamless gaming experience. When experiencing low network speeds, players will encounter obstacles that diminish the enjoyment of the game. So if you have trouble looting, shooting, picking up stuff, interacting with the game, to mitigate the impact of network latency on gameplay, they organize their servers by region. Now, while in theory this is a great way to make sure everyone has an adequate and even level of ping, the truth is that there aren't enough servers in each region, and then even still, because of the lower player counts, sometimes I say sometimes, it's actually probably a pretty good amount of the players will VPN to a different region so that they can get matches. Like a prime case example would be some North American players during the day when the servers are dead will VPN to EU because their servers are like in the evening times, prime time for them, so there's more players. And so that means you're bringing in high ping North American players to lower ping EU players and then creating that discrepancy in the ping for the server. The map service, that means like the map rotation. So in total, there's 10 maps right now, 11 if you count Haven, RIP. And of the 10 maps, they keep what I think 5 in rotation each week. So that they narrowed it down so there's only 5 available, so that hopefully you get matches more quickly and you're not waiting for one specific map. And in some regions like mine, we can't even choose the map. It's randomly selected. In other regions, when there's a lot of players, like in Asia, you can always choose which map you want to play. So again, it's a regional difference. Your party type or perspective is if you're obviously doing TPP, FPP, solo duo squads. Skill is like I said, the MMR that we talked about. A player's skill is determined by various factors such as match kills, placements, and other criteria that creates this, magic MMR number. So what are they doing in 2024? Well, their first step is revamping the MMR system for normal matches. With up to 100 players per match, ensuring an adequate pool of players is paramount. However, previously their focus was primarily on making sure you always had enough players in your lobby, so up to 100 players. While skill-based matchmaking proved effective with sufficient players, having fewer players led to increased difficulty for newer players or newcomers or less experienced players. Basically, newer players or lower tiered players were getting put into the same lobbies as like people with 15,000 matches played, and it obviously ended up being not a great experience for them. Observing those outcomes, they acknowledge that they need to prioritize skill-based matchmaking alongside player recruitment. I don't know about that one. In 2023, we initiated improvements to address matchmaking disparities for inexperienced players and players who MMR was set higher than their skill level under certain conditions. After diligent monitoring, we observed notable improvements in the targeted segments, with players in these categories consistently returning to the game. I think they're talking about low-ranked players in this particular sentence. Their targeted segments has got to be, they're talking about low-ranked people who are brand new to the game with a low MMR, a low overall rank. These are the players that they're trying to make sure are returning. Building upon this experience, we've opted to overhaul the MMR system in normal matches, building on the steps we've taken to ensure that more players experience matchmaking that matches their skill level. Why that could be a problem, though, is if you've played Call of Duty at all, or if you have friends that play Call of Duty, or if you read Call of Duty Twitter, Call of Duty has skill-based matchmaking, and a lot of the complaints that come from that are basically that you might be, a casual John Doe who likes to get on 1 hour in the evening and just casually game. And if you have enough players in the player pool, then you'll get matched up with players of your similar skill level. Okay, so that's fine. So you can kind of casually play your game and you're okay for the most part. However, players on the other end, maybe like myself, who have like 15,000 matches or whatever, I have probably a higher MMR than most players that are in the lobby. However, if you ever watch my games, it doesn't mean I'm always trying to play at that level. Sometimes I'm just trying to have fun, relax, and use meme weapons, or just really just hang out with friends or talk to chat and kind of do whatever, not really focusing on like playing to the best of my ability. And so what would happen in those scenarios with the quote unquote higher skilled players is that you would basically be put into a sweat fest every time you queue up into a lobby. And that's what a lot of the complaints come from on Call of Duty. If you listen to a lot of the player feedback there, is that every lobby they get into, it feels like they're playing for an esports tournament with like $10,000 on the line. That can be fun if that's your goal, which is why ranked mode exists. But in a normal mode, a casual mode, whatever you want to call it, a lot of times you're looking for just a more relaxed experience. So that can be kind of the problem with overhauling an MMR system so that it's more skill-based matchmaking. So that's actually the pros and cons of it. Now, refining the matchmaking system. Currently, they're focusing on enhancing skill-based matchmaking rather than solely increasing the number of players per match. We've revamped the skill-based matchmaking system to improve the gaming experience for a broader range of players. While overhauling MMR, they've carefully considered various factors to better segment player groups based on their experiences in normal match. Our efforts aim to preserve the essence of the normal match experience, particularly for seasoned players. Now, I'm not a full-time streamer, like many of you know. I only play, whatever, 3 to 4 hours a night on the evenings. So I'm not really the person to give a lot of feedback on this in terms of the non-prime time hours. But if you ask people like Obi-Wan Coyote, like other full-time streamers who do this all day, they have said that their lobby wait time has gone up significantly, where they're having to wait way longer for matches, and they're getting more bots in their matches because the lobby's not able to find people of the same MMR of them. So instead, it just puts bots in the lobby and launches the game that way, instead of it being more real people. But some of those people could be at a lower or higher MMR than what your player is at. Additionally, we continue to monitor the network latency in each region, assessing the matchmaking duration, metrics, etc. They're enhancing skill-based matchmaking. They aim to cultivate a positive gaming experience for all players and ensure fair competition among players of similar skill levels. When they talk about the network latency, I don't know how you get around this outside of capping the allowable ping per lobby. Like, I don't know if there's a way you could really get around that, because some people just have slow internet. Like, it's unlucky. Some people have slower bad internet, and so they have high ping or high packet loss. Other times, it's like I described earlier, people are VPNing to other regions and basically purposefully playing in a region where they're going to have a much higher ping. Not necessarily to take advantage of a higher ping, but just to get into a higher queue time or a lower queue time lobby, higher player count lobby. And so I don't know how you deal with that without putting a cap on the ping allowed, where it would not let you in if your ping is over X amount, whatever that ping is. These few things represent just a fraction of the changes we're implementing, and we remain committed to ongoing monitoring and necessary improvements as we progress. Enhancing the matchmaking environment. We've enhanced matchmaking structure to better accommodate new and inexperienced players. Again, this is very, very targeted towards making sure new players aren't commonly and repeatedly just getting thrashed by a lot of the OG players, which is it's a fair point. You do want to preserve and help get these new players into the game repeatedly, having enjoyable experiences. You do. Thanks to your support, we celebrated 7th anniversary, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Over time, the gap between new and seasoned players has widened, presenting challenges in helping new players improve their skills and have fun at the same time. Based on diverse data and player feedback, we've refined our categorization and structure to ensure that new and inexperienced players are paired with similar skill level counterparts. We hope this will facilitate a smoother transition for new players into the PUBG environment, fostering positive encounters with comparably skilled players as they progress and refine their skills. Again, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. However, in regions with low player counts, I don't know how this doesn't hurt the game ultimately, because essentially you're going to have a situation where the lobby will potentially fill up with just more bots because it won't be able to find enough similarly skilled players in the high ranks or the low ranks, because before we'd all be mashed together, and now we're going to be separated even more, where high rank is over here, low rank is over here. And if there's not enough middle rank people to kind of fill those gaps, they're going to be filled with bots. And so now you're going to have low rank people playing with more bots and high rank people playing with more bots. And I I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I guess I should say that. This is just me kind of assuming things. I don't know for a fact that that's how it's going to work. But if that is how it works, I don't think that's actually more healthy for the players or the game in general. I think if anything, that's just another reason why you should uncap the allowable limit for casual modes, which is where players are forced to play with bots purposefully. They can choose to play with only bots and let them play that an unlimited amount of times, and then allow the normal matchmaking lobby to just be everybody. Like if you queue up into the normal, you're going to get randomly selected with everybody. I feel like that's probably the better solution. Moving on to teams, pre-made teams. Improving the pre-made team MMR algorithm, the weighted average algorithm. So to make this kind of shorter and sweeter, in the past, if you were a pre-made team, like you and your buddies get into a team and you queue up, right? Let's say it's you and 3 of your buddies, and one of your buddies has a very high MMR. They play the game all the time, right? So they're like, whatever the max MMR is, that's them. Then you and your other 2 buddies are middle to low tier MMR. The way PUBG used to look at that metric is it would go based off the highest person's MMR and try to put you in lobbies with that ranked MMR. The problem with that is obviously you would have one really good player in the team forcing the entire team into lobbies of other really good players. And so the more casual friends on the team would just be consistently getting shit on and feel like they can't do much. And that's why you may have experience with this as well. Some of my friends who play solos or duos with themselves, lower skilled or lower MMR players, have better success in the matches. They get more kills, they get more wins, versus when they team up with me and they're like, man, all of a sudden I'm not doing that great anymore. Well, it's because we're beginning matched up with people who are my high rank as compared to people who are your lower rank, kind of more in your skill level. So now going forward, PUBG is going to do a weighted average. So now you could have four people in your pre-made team, or 3 people or 2 people, whatever you're playing, duos or squads. It's going to do a weighted average MMR. So you could have a super high MMR player, but then also a couple of lower MMR players, and it'll average those out. And it will weight the higher MMR player a little bit heavier. It says that in the description. It will weight them a little heavier, but it's not going to completely base the skill level of the entire squad off of the top person. So I actually do think that is a good change overall. However, beating a dead horse here, it's only going to make sense in lobbies, or in regions rather, where there's ample amount of players to fill that void, to fill those gaps. Otherwise, you're going to have high queue times, and then those high queue times are going to be substituted by more bots, which more bots, they don't help anybody at this point. I'm very confident saying bots don't help anybody. And then I should say in the normal matches, they don't help anybody. Bots in casual mode, great, fantastic experience for people to get warmed up and just kind of casually enjoy PUBG. I think it's fine there. Okay, so concluding today's dev letter. Despite its invisible nature, matchmaking is a crucial component of PUBG, as it encompasses many intertwined elements that significantly impact the game's enjoyment and overall quality. While it may take some time to satisfy all players, that'll never happen. You're always going to have people on both sides. We remain committed to validating the matchmaking system and transparently sharing any noteworthy progress or insights with you as we proceed. Sometimes our plans resonate positively with the community and yield the intended outcomes. Other times they lead to unintended outcomes, and your criticism serves as valuable feedback that prompts us to realign our focus. We'll continue to evaluate various data and player feedback alongside drawing from our own gameplay experiences to ensure that matchmaking maintains a healthy balance and appropriately reflects skill levels. So if you do have feedback, let me know in the Twitch chat. If you're watching this video on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. I will try my best to be a vessel for supplying that feedback to PUBG. As many of you know, I was recently part of one of PUBG's partner focus group meetings, where they specifically, asked a lot of specific questions to us, and then some open-ended, like, hey, what's your feedback on the game questions? And so I would like to continue that dialogue with PUBG as frequently as possible. So if you have, good feedback, I'm open to hearing it and, you know, open to sharing it. So yeah, so that's the dev letter recap for matchmaking. I guess the obvious question is, hey, when is this being implemented? And it actually doesn't have an implementation date, so I can only assume it's already in the game. I don't know for sure. It doesn't say like coming soon or, you know, in the next patch or whatever. So I'm assuming this new system is in the game now. I could be wrong. Other PUBG news while we're on the topic. Just today, PUBG in the Discord announced that that Nvidia put out an update. Actually, I think I just got notification for it. Let me see. Nvidia just put out an update driver 552.22. This driver, I'm not going to download it right now while I'm live, but that driver apparently fixes the repeated like 4-hour, 5-hour crashes of PUBG. Like one of the most long-standing bad bugs, crashes in the game has apparently been fixed by the latest GPU driver. So if you haven't downloaded that driver yet, be sure to download that. If you obviously don't have GeForce experience, you can just go to NVIDIA's website and download the latest driver there and see if it helps your issue. I do believe in the comments or the notes of that post or the little thing I read in the Discord, they were testing it specifically on 12th gen CPUs. But I think it's supposed to be for for all CPUs, but they were primarily testing it with 12th gen CPUs and NVIDIA GPUs. So it obviously may not fix everybody's issue, but it's a place to start. The other thing to think about is which DirectX you are using. I haven't changed or tested them in the past year, but when I did my test, DirectX 11 Enhanced was the more stable and better DirectX 11 option. That's an option in PUBG. Like you go to PUBG, like in your game, you hit escape, go to options, go to graphics, at the bottom, DirectX 11. I use Enhanced. You may need to change it if you're still having issues. Try to go to 11 Enhanced or 12. Just note that you have to completely restart your PC in order for that change to or restart PUBG for that change to take effect. So if you go to a different DirectX driver, you have to close down PUBG, reopen it for it to take effect and test it out. So let me know again your comments below and all that kind of stuff here in Twitch or down in YouTube. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, like, and share it with a buddy. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Peace. You know, on one hand, I get, if you were a casual player, I get it. You don't want to come home from working all day. You get an hour to game with your buds. You know, you put the kids to sleep, you do the dishes, and like, you're all right. I got like an hour to game before I got to hang out with the wife or whatever you got to go do. All right. Like, I get it. You don't want to log in and be greeted with all these streamers and like high ranked players who game all the time and just get shit on. I get it. I see both sides of it. In the ultimate world, like in my wishful world, I would want casual mode to be everybody plays against everybody, and then ranked mode is where you go to sweat it out. That's where you get MMR. That's where you get the ranked rewards and, you know, the better loot and all that kind of stuff. The problem with not only that, but with many things that PUBG is dealing with right now is in our region, we just don't have enough players to support it. And we truly don't have enough players to support all of these different lobby type options. I'm a fan of skill-based matchmaking in general. Yo, Jesse, let me ask you an honest question, and this is absolutely no hate to you. Would you consider yourself like a casual player, an above average player, or a really high skill player? I'm a casual player for sure. Okay, so that I would have guessed that purely based on your comment that you enjoy MMR. And I think that's the correct opinion, is that if you're a lower skill player, you're going to want MMR so that you get ranked up with also lower skill players to have a more enjoyable experience. I would just offer two challenges to that. Number one, if you're always playing against people who are low skilled, it's very unlikely that you're going to progress in your skill. And if you do progress, it's going to take a long time, because a lot of times the best way to learn is by failing. At least that's how I did. Like, you go against better players, or you random duo rank up with better players and you see how they play, and you can just kind of take little tidbits from things that you do or mistakes that you made when you were playing a better player, and you kind of slowly, or you get better but faster than if you were to play against a bunch of, you know, lower ranked people that you're dominating all the time. The other challenge I would say to that is, as soon as you do get better, because eventually you will, like if you play enough, you're just going to get better in the game, and like eventually you're here in the beginning of your timeline, and eventually you're going to get here where you're now like middle of the road, middle of the pack in terms of skill level, and new players are coming in, and those new players want to play against just low ranked people. But now you're up here, you're no longer matched with these people, and there aren't enough people in your lobby to play against, so now you have to play against bots, and now the bots are worse than the low ranked people, so now your experience is watered down significantly. And so it's like this vicious circle if you do MMR and if there aren't enough players to support it. And eventually you get all the way to the other end of the spectrum where you're a very high ranked player and every lobby feels like you're playing like Sweatfest, you know, like every lobby. Like, I know a lot of you guys watch the stream now a good bit or watch the YouTube videos, and I'm very grateful of that. And so you guys see that I like to have a ton of fun in the games I play. I'm not the best streamer you'll ever watch. I'm not the best player. I'm not going to make the best decision every time or the best sprays or whatever. A lot of times I just like to have fun and mess around and use fun guns and, like, you know, whatever, just have a good time in the PUBG sandbox. And that becomes less and less possible when you're always going up against players who are, you know, your rank or better. And so that's the counter argument to, you know, forcing MMR.